Okay, so this is actually probably my favorite section of this show because this section is the section where I get to interact with you guys, and I put up some polls on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, this is not plugging Instagram. This is a way you can interact with the show. If you want to submit a question, you can submit it not anonymously. You can just use the question box that Instagram has, or you can submit it anonymously using that NGL link thing that I started using because I find that people are more comfortable doing anonymous for whatever reason. Think about that, by the way. Be more comfortable with who you are. I mean, obviously, if it's a really personal question, maybe you don't ask it anonymously. But if you want to use the anonymous link, sure, go for it. But I like using the direct question box on Instagram. Today, we're going to tackle a question that, even though this one was actually the one not anonymous question I got, and it was from my good friend Oliver Robles, who is the co-host of Faith Talk, our other podcast that we do, where we talk about theology, religion, life stuff questions, and we just dissect, the tough conversations, and we have a dialogue with guests for an hour. On this show, we have dialogue with guests for like 15 minutes, but on that one, it's an hour. So that's a really fun show if you're interested in checking that out. But he asked a question, and I knew this was him. Even if it was anonymous, I still would have known this is him. He said, do you think Christians shouldn't celebrate Halloween? Why or why not? This is a good question. This is an interesting question because it's not like the Bible has an explicit do or don't here. There's not a don't celebrate Halloween commandment, and there's also nothing in the Bible about Halloween at all. So this is one of those questions that I understand both sides. And because there are issues that fall into the category of this is clear biblical truth, and then there's opinions. Halloween is quite literally a tradition. The way you could put it is that I can have my traditions, you can have your traditions. The problem becomes when my traditions are required to become your traditions. So if the way that I think about Halloween is so important to me that I have to make you view Halloween the same way, that's a problem. But I don't think of it that way at all. I think that Halloween is a holiday that I never celebrated growing up. Now I happen to know Oliver definitely did celebrate Halloween growing up. And does that change anything about my opinion? No. If I was raised not celebrating Halloween and suddenly decided as I got older that, oh, I want to celebrate Halloween now, that wouldn't really be a crazy thing to do. That wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for me. My personal take on Halloween is I don't really care for it that much. I never celebrated it. I don't really intend to celebrate it. I don't think my kids will be like celebrating Halloween or anything like that. However, I do see benefits to it. For instance, one last year I think it was. There's like a picture of it that I can try to put on screen if I remember talking to myself who's editing this video. It's 50-50 shot, but I gave out candy at Halloween, and on the wrappers I put Jesus loves you, and then on the other side I put a Bible verse, just to kind of put, as I think I put it back then, a dose of truth with their Halloween candy. Now, of course, this is not what it's about. It's not about the candy. That the question that most Christians ask is, does the satanic demonic side of things, is it a deal breaker for Christians? Does that mean we ought to boycott it altogether? I don't think so. The holiday has roots actually deeper than what it is today. Most holidays today don't look anything like they did when they were founded. The holiday of Halloween, it's All Hallows Eve, and I'm saying this off the top of my head. As always, if I say something wrong, please correct me, but I like to do these Q&As spontaneously. It wasn't like a pagan holiday to begin with. It was actually about scaring off demons, which demons are very real. So what it has become, though, I don't like. I don't like the celebration of the demonic. I don't like the celebration of spooky. I don't even understand horror films. I know that a lot of people like horror. I don't have an inherent problem with horror. I just don't get it, I suppose. I find the idea of wanting to scare myself doesn't make any sense to me. Some people get a real thrill out of that, just like some people get a real thrill out of going on a roller coaster. I just personally don't get it. Like, I literally get bored in some. I've seen some horror movies and I've fallen asleep during them before. So maybe it's just because I don't get scared by it. But it doesn't bother me that much. Now, is it inherently wrong is the core question. Is it inherently wrong? Is it a sin to celebrate Halloween? I don't think it's inherently a sin. I think that there could be a way it could be celebrated where it would be wrong. But generally, because we're asking a generalized question here, we're asking, is it wrong to celebrate Halloween? I don't think it's inherently wrong. Because you can do like what I did last year with giving out candy with the Jesus Loves You on it. Or, I don't even see an inherent issue with taking your kids trick-or-treating to get candy. I don't see an inherent issue with a lot of parts of it. Now, I don't like celebrating the demonic, I think, is my big issue. So if you're like coating your house in ghosts and goblins and all of that, it depends on your motive. It depends on your heart. People look at the outward appearance. God looks at the heart. However, to add on to that, people do look at the outward appearance, and what people thinks does matter to an extent. So I shouldn't care what people think above what God thinks, but I do want people to see Christ through me. So if I'm decorating my house with ghosts and goblins and all these horrible things, and I say horrible in the sense that the whole point is that they're scary and spooky and evil. If I give even the appearance of celebrating those things, does that bring people closer or farther away from Christ? I think it doesn't give off a Christ-centered perspective. Now, I think on the other hand, I think completely boycotting and being super crazy about it and like bashing Halloween every year also doesn't bring people closer to Christ. When you are constantly bashing something like Halloween as evil and of the devil, that doesn't bring people closer. It draws people away. It doesn't make them actually see Christ in a better way. It just makes them think, oh, those judgmental, crazy Christians. So as with all things in life, there's a balance. You could balance whether it is personally okay to you to celebrate Halloween versus how you deal with that in conversation as well. The way I will talk about Halloween, like I could even think personally, I could say I think Halloween's a horrible holiday and I don't like it. I wouldn't go that far, but I could. That still doesn't mean that I should go out there and tell everybody they shouldn't celebrate Halloween, because the Bible's not clear on that. When it comes to an issue that the Bible is clear on, yes, we ought to be very clear on what we believe. This is not one of those examples, I don't think. So yeah, Halloween, do I think it's inherently wrong? No. Like all things, it could be wrong in some situations. But I think that a Christian healthily going trick-or-treating, eating candy, it's not inherently wrong. So let me know what you think of Halloween in the comments. I might put a poll up on the Instagram when this episode comes out about whether you think it's okay, to see what statistics. God loves seeing polls. So yeah, let me know. Anyway, that's just about it for this episode of What is Truth. I thank you so much for listening or watching, and make sure to follow it on all social media, listen to it on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, and God bless.